is Dale Evans. I'm a watercolor painter, oil painter, acrylic painter, and an occasional pastel painter, but not very often, I must confess. I love doing landscapes, places that I've grown up in, the things that are familiar to me. That's what really motivates me as far as painting, to see something very familiar in a new way. That's what I'm trying to do. And also to get other people to enjoy what I'm doing too. You know, I was thinking about how I became an artist, and you know, I think back to my childhood. This was the day of black and white TV, believe it or not. And when I was about to maybe 6 or 7, there was a program from Channel 3 in Champaign. And the host was a fellow named Sheriff Sid. He would show cartoons and the Little Rascals and things like that. And then he had this great big easel, and he would take this great big black crayon. Of course it was black, there was black and white TV. And he would draw houses and trees and bridges and everything. That was the most magical thing in the world. I think that's where I really have to thank for my artistic ability is Sheriff Sid. Wherever he's at, I'm hoping he's listening, hoping he's listening. And then in high school, the biggest influence was Elizabeth Stein. I'm real proud to be one of her students, and there are a lot of them around. And she really opened my eyes as far as painting goes, as far as art goes. She was a terrific art teacher. And she would crack the whip. I'm telling you, there was times when I got so mad at her I couldn't see straight. But years later, I realized what a good teacher she was. And then I went to art school, of course, Heron School of Art, Indiana University. As far as landscape painting, here again, I go back to my childhood. We would pack my brothers and sisters in the car, and my mom and dad would go on what is called the Sunday drive. Before television made everybody lazy, you got in your car and you went around the countryside. And one of the favorite games to keep my mother and father happy was, I would take one side of the car, look what I've got on my side of the car. My sister or brother would take the other side. This is my farm, this is my cows, and all these things were going through my mind all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, that's where I became a landscape painter, because I was so aware of going over a hill and seeing what was on the side of the road. Isn't that amazing? And living in a place most of your life and seeing the seasons change, going down the street and looking at trees, houses, whatnot, and thinking to yourself, what would I do to paint that? How could I do that? What colors would I use? What brush would I use? What paper? How could I do that? Does this be a better watercolor painting or a better oil painting? It's what you know. It's that Andrew Wyeth said, it's what's in here that's really, that really counts as far as how you paint. And you've got to be able to take chances, and I'm taking more chances now than I used to. We've got this group locally, we call it Just Paint It. And some of us go out 2 or 3 at a time in different places. We kind of pick different places to go. Really, I find myself going to places that I'm very familiar with, like Miller Park. I mean, I grew up in Miller Park. I lived west of Miller Park for 8 years when I was a child. You got up in the morning and you went to the park. So these things that I paint at Miller Park, I've seen all my life, But yet, every time I go out there, I see something different, or see it in a different way. So when I choose something to paint, it's usually the light, the color, the elements of art, really, line, color, shape, all that. With me, it's light and color a lot, though. I mean, that's the Impressionist obsession with light and color. But I don't do so much as well, nostalgia. This old barn is a neat old barn because it's falling down. It's picturesque and things like that. I try to stay away from cliches like that, you know what I mean? Bad paintings are made from nostalgia. Good paintings are made from memory, personal memory, So it has to mean something to me when I'm painting, But just playing with color, I'm just like that kid, you hang the little magical things above their their cradle, and they're looking at them, they're moving, and they're looking at them all the time. They're magic. Well, it still is. After all these years, it's still magic every time I pick up a paintbrush, mix color, and put it on, do something like that, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, things are going to happen. What can I do with that? It's still magic. It is still magic. That's a name for any art book I may write in the future. It's still magic. It is. It is still magic.